Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from kibutz Nihalos in southern Israel. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This special broadcast comes to you from one of the settlements that was first targeted by Hamas terrorists on the 7th of October. Right behind me, you see images of death and destruction all around this small settlement right next to the Gaza Strip in southern Israel. And over the course of the next 1 hour, we will get you details of Israel's war against Hamas terror and how the world is now completely divided in two completely different camps.
Day 13th of Israel-Hamas war. Artillery booms, troops move closer. Shelling intensifies at Gaza border. India Today reports from Gaza border.
We are at the fence. The plumes of smoke that you see rising, according to the Israeli army, these are strongholds of Hamas.
The most exhaustive war coverage. That is our top focus on 5 Live.
I now want to take you to that other big report we've been tracking here on India Today, and that is the information warfare, the space for information. This is trench warfare at every level for control of territory. It's also trench warfare for control of mind space. A Hamas rocket, according to Israel, Islamic Jihad rocket, it misfired. It did not cover its entire trajectory. It fell near a hospital at the Gaza Strip. People were killed and injured. Hamas immediately came up saying 500 people had been massacred in an Israeli airstrike. And the world came out targeting Israel, especially the Islamic world, especially the Arab countries, before Israel could come out with its truth, saying that look at images that they've put out in public domain, look at information and other radar-based information and intelligence that they've put out in public domain, including a conversation between two Hamas and Islamic Jihad fighters that says it was one of their rockets that misfired. We get you more in this report.
October 17, Gaza City. Explosion at the Al Ali Arab Hospital. Hours later, blame game continues. Gaza officials blame Israeli airstrike. The Israel army blames a rocket misfired by the Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists.
It's Palestinian terrorist organizations that all the time are shooting and targeting civilians. It's only illustrating the way they are hiding between citizens, and they shoot this missile. By the way, I don't know if they did it in purpose or it was a mistake.
So what really happened? India Today's open source intelligence team analyzed the pictures and videos posted online. Satellite images reveal a discolored blast area, the parking lot of the hospital compound. There's no structural damage to adjacent buildings. There seem to be no visible signs of a large crater in the parking lot or any substantial damage to the buildings close by. These signs make the aerial bombing theory less plausible. Video footage released by the Israel Defense Force from the morning hours also shows just burnt cars. The hospital building seems intact. So were hundreds really killed, as Gaza officials claimed? Another set of aerial images released by Israel shows only shrapnels on the building roof. The United States has already given a clean chit to Israel.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you.
The UK has said it's establishing facts independently.
I know the whole house will have been shocked by the scenes at Al Ali Hospital. Any loss of innocent life is a dreadful tragedy. Our intelligence services have been rapidly analysing the evidence to independently establish the facts.
For now, there appear to be more clues suggesting that the massacre was likely a rocket failure than a targeted bombing from the skies. With Bidisha Saha and Ankit Kumar, Bureau Report, India Today.
The situation on ground remains extremely tense. This is day 13 of Israel's war on Hamas terror. The Israeli artillery and Israeli armor are punishing various strongholds of Hamas. Israel claims it's taken out some of the top military leadership of Hamas, as they have completely decimated some of the locations where the rocket-propelled grenades, the rockets that targeted several pockets of Israel, were being manufactured. At the same time, Hamas terrorists continue to target Israel. This is happening at a time when US President Joe Biden visited Israel yesterday, and the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is in Israel today. But Israel relentlessly continues to pound Hamas bases on ground zero, where we are reporting from in southern Israel, very close to the Gaza Strip. India today is right at the front lines of this war against Hamas terror, Israel's war on Hamas terror. We are at the fence. The plumes of smoke that you see rising right behind me, and let me try and show you those plumes of smoke rising in that area, right in front of you, there and there. Now, according to the Israeli army, these are strongholds of Hamas that are being targeted. This is where Hamas has leadership, operational bases, logistics centers, and also foxholes or mouth of the tunnel. Now, the mouth of the tunnels are being destroyed. Ammunition and those bombs are being used that penetrate the ground and then explode. The aim is to ensure Hamas terrorists are neutralized as quickly as possible. I have...
Stand here.
Yes, sir.
Don't stand there, okay?
No,
It's
no.
exposed. Be
Yeah.
behind this line.
Okay.
Try to stand behind cover.
So, absolutely, sir. This is in the line of Hamas fire?
Yes.
So Israeli army officers are telling me that the place where we are standing right now, it's directly in the line of Hamas fire, including their small arms fire. And that's why we're moving to safety. We're told to constantly wear helmets and bulletproof jackets in this place. It's not safe, or take shelter behind mounds in this area. Because for a rocket, when that rocket targets Tel Aviv, then there is still considerable time. Okay, so now we are moving to safety. These officers, it's safe here. Okay, so these officers tell us that it's safer to be in this part of town because in this part of the open area, because here at least you're safe. But anything beyond this, you're directly in the line of fire as Israeli forces intensify their operations against Hamas terrorists. What's also very crucial is the Heron TP drones, long endurance drones that are in the skies, and you can hear the sound of those of their motors constantly. Those drones flying at an altitude of 30,000 feet or even higher, they pinpoint with their cameras, they pinpoint even a foxhole or the mouth of a tunnel, and then they lit up, they put a laser beam on the mouth of that tunnel, and the F-16s and F-15s. You can again hear those F-16s and F-15s in the sky. The moment that laser targeting is done, precision guided munition is used to bomb the mouth of the tunnel. So that is how precise these operations are being carried out. The aim is to ensure that when ground forces move in, there are no buildings or clusters where Hamas terrorists can hide behind civilians and use anti-tank missiles or shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles to target low-flying helicopters. Should helicopters come into that operation to give protection to the tanks and armored personnel carriers and trucks when they move in. Shallow raids, we are told, are already being conducted. So we're getting you a ground report. Very, 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 very tense situation on ground as you see plumes of smoke rising. Not safe to be there, but I just want you to, for a moment, see those plumes of smoke rising. India today is right at the front lines of Israel's war on Hamas terror. The situation taking a turn for the worse. There is an escalation on ground, as Israel says its main aim is to destroy Hamas leadership, their bomb shelters, their bomb manufacturing capabilities, their logistics hubs, and also their financial centers. Gaurav Sawant, right near the Gaza Strip in southern Israel, for India today. As soon as terrorists attacked Israel and images like burnt houses behind me, hundreds of people taken hostage, 1,300 plus killed, 3,000 plus injured. As soon as this information went viral globally, Jews across the world returned home to fight for their homeland. And lakhs of them have joined as reserves. 3.5 lakh soldiers have been deployed in the past 12 days. And this is the fastest mobilization by the Israeli army. One such soldier returned from Boston, a professor there, a scholar soldier of Indian origin, an Indian Jew. Captain Daniel is someone I caught up with. He was teaching at Boston. He left his job. He's come here to fight for his homeland, for his country. I caught up with him a short while back. Let's listen in. India today, right now, is at a kibbutz very close to the fence, and the tension here is palpably high. With me is a Jew of Indian origin, and I want to introduce you to Mr. Daniel. Daniel,
Yeah, my name is Captain Ala Daniels. I'm captain in the Israeli Defense Force on reserves. I flew in from Boston where I do my PhD and to help with my comrades and brothers in arms and sisters to help defend against the Hamas continuing attack. Right now, we're dealing with the damages. We're looking for survivors, any signs of life from abductees, and we're preparing for an offense that would restore some resolution to this conflict with this terror group. Yeah.
all of you are very brave. You're fighting an asymmetric war. Now, describe your enemy for me. You know, when a soldier goes into battle, you study your enemy well. Describe your enemy to me, sir.
They're sophisticated. They lack morals completely. They position behind civilians. They change civilians to their posts, and they use psychological warfare against you in a way that could disable you or disorient you. They don't have a lot, but they do what they can with all of it in a way that makes it very difficult for you to maintain your objectives with minimal loss of life. So it's a heavy burden on us, but we need to do it.
It is a very heavy burden on you. And is this an unequal battle as far as you're concerned? Because this is asymmetric warfare. You don't know where the enemy could be hiding, especially when you have to go in. He could be hiding behind civilians and he could be targeted. As we hear this
Yeah.
artillery go off.
Yeah. It's asymmetric warfare at its finest, but it's also, we have civilians over there. So we're waiting for our orders to go in and deal with those people, hopefully rescue some of them or all of them. And everybody here in my unit came from as far as the US, like myself. People came after years of being inactive because they're over 40, and everybody came. So this is basically a civilian army that is, stepping up and ready to do what needs to be done.
Now you're a scholar soldier. You were doing your PhD
Yeah.
at Boston University.
At Brandeis University near Boston, yeah. But I'm a
And
professor too at Boston College and Brandeis University. Yeah, so I'm a scholar soldier, as you said it. It's not easy. You know more. You're more. You have more experience on you, but it serves me better. But and it's not an easy job. We are faced with very difficult choices here in Israel, and this is one of them.
as a scholar soldier, and you have to know the lay of the land when you take on the enemy. A lot of soldiers are very, very young, perhaps some seeing combat for the first time. So, as a young team leader, as a young company commander, as a captain of this team, what's your order to your soldiers before you go in or before your army goes in?
I mean, we know the terrain enough. We know this is our bread and butter. This is where we train. This is where we fight. This is where we defend Israeli civilians. But as we go in and we plan to go in, our first order of business is to maintain our objectives, is to disable the enemy at minimal loss of life as much as we can, and to achieve our objectives vis-a-vis the conquering of its territory and to disable it from conducting aggressive operations against us and our civilians.
Now, when you talk of Hamas as an entity, it's not an organized army, because if it was an organized army, if it were an organized army, it would be easy for you to defeat it given your military superiority. But how difficult is it to take on an enemy who may be hiding in a building, who may be hiding on rooftop and using anti-tank guided missiles to target your tanks, or shoulder-fired SAMs to target your Hectors.
Yeah, so in a way, it's not organized as an army, mostly because they don't wear uniforms all the time, which makes it incredibly tricky for us to find them. But mostly, it makes it incredibly tricky for the Gazan population to survive this, right? If they intentionally hide behind or within their communities, they count on our ability to, or our unwillingness to injure civilians or kill civilians, and they use that against us. And we're going to go in at the end of this, I think, and this is going to cost a lot to the Gazan population and civilians that are mostly, uninvolved, and they have their own government to blame, which is quasi, a terrorist organization. I think I'm done here. I need to go back to my unit. Thank you so much.
For a moment, and tell me about your Indian roots.
Yeah, so
tell me about your Indian roots.
Yeah, my father is from Bnei Israel in Bombay. My mom
Amchi, Mumbai.
Yeah, Mumbai.
And you speak Marathi?
No, my dad speaks Marathi though, in Hindi. And my mom is from Rangoon, Baghdadi Jews, so also from Mumbai, way down the line. They immigrated to Israel in 68 and 71 as young kids. And I was born here in 86. And it's my pleasure to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Captain Daniels, wish you all the best and stay safe.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
This war on ground is as much about territory as it is for mind space. And as soon as that information about a hospital catching fire or a hospital being attacked by Israel went viral, even before Israel could come out with facts and deny it, there were protests almost all across the Arab world, protests in favor of Palestine, protests against Israel. I now want to get you images of some of these protests that have the world on tenterhooks, and the apprehension is, if unchecked, a spark neglected could burn the house, and this house is the world itself.
Angry protests flare up across the world over the Israel-Hamas war. Donned in black shirts emblazoned with the words, "Jews say, ceasefire now." Hundreds of primarily Jewish protesters on Wednesday took to Capitol Hill, urging US President Joe Biden to push for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Several protesters were detained by the police. Signs with slogans such as "Stop Genocide" and "Stop US Aid to Israel" appeared at a pro-Palestinian rally by students and teachers near the Empire State Building in New York.
I believe that Palestinians have been subject to 75 years of a brutal open-air prison system of apartheid, and I oppose injustice anywhere. I'm all in favor of the liberation of Palestine.
Hundreds of demonstrators came out in full force, taking to the streets of downtown Chicago.
Honestly, just to support the Palestinian people, to be here for them. Honestly, so many innocent people died. It's disgusting to see this be okay. See the people that we call our brothers and sisters dying every day.
Hundreds who took to the streets in support of Gaza clashed with Lebanese security forces in a suburb of Beirut near the United States Embassy. Riot police lobbed dozens of tear gas canisters and fired water cannons to disperse the protesters in the intense standoff. Turkish protesters staged fresh anti-Israel demonstrations. Several demonstrators tried to overcome security barricades in order to enter the Israeli consulate in Istanbul. Chanting full-throated slogans, Greeks marched in Athens in support of both Israel and Palestine.
We are here to demonstrate in support for the Palestinian people. We condemn the strike of Israel against the Palestinian people.
Hundreds of pro-Palestinian demonstrators flooded the streets of Italy's capital, Rome, to hold a candle vigil for victims of Gaza hospital blast.
It's important to support Palestine. It's important to recognize that this is a genocide and we cannot stand for it.
In the West Bank, Palestinians clashed with Israeli forces. Similar scenes were seen in Iraq's Baghdad, London, Sana'a in Yemen, and Cairo in Egypt. As the war between Israel and Hamas rages, the global divide is deepening every day. Bureau Report, India Today.